Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? And there is never, ever a good time to have a player arrested. But in particular, this week, just 2 days after the Saints trade CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Philadelphia Eagles, safety Marcus Maye was arrested and in an alleged assault with a firearm incident. According to the police report, this happened in Jefferson Parish. It was in Metairie. And they're conducting, the sheriff's office there is Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office is conducting an investigation to determine what exactly happened. But apparently it was, it happened, the alleged incident was an alleged road rage incident, which happened on Monday. Maye was arrested this morning, Thursday morning, obtained for his arrest 1 count of aggravated assault with a firearm. Marcus Maye has been identified as the driver of a black SUV involved in the incident, where he's accused of pointing a firearm at another vehicle that was occupied by several juvenile females. For what it is worth, and I want to be very clear that we do live in the United States of America, where there is a presumption of innocence until guilt is proven by the accuser. So I'm not going to convict Marcus Maye here on this radio show until he has his day in court, an opportunity to defend himself. Marcus Maye's attorney, Eric Hessler, spoke to Tom Pelissero and gave this statement. I'll read it. Quote, "Marcus vehemently denies the allegations from a motor vehicle incident and looks forward to defending himself when all the factors come out." Brief statement, but so Marcus Maye is vehemently denying any wrongdoing, and he'll have his day in court, or however these proceedings may take place. Dennis Allen, after the Saints practiced on Thursday, did have this to say when he was asked about the Marcus Maye arrest.
We were made aware of it this morning, and we're still gathering all the information, and so we're really not going to have a comment on it at this time until we get more information.
So as you would expect Dennis Allen to say. Okay, so a couple of things. First, the timing is terrible. It's just 2 days after you trade CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles. And when you look at and this is part of the reason you are comfortable with that trade. You were comfortable with that trade because you had Tyron, you had Marcus Maye, you feel good about your outside cornerbacks, and then you also had Bradley Roby and great depth with Alontae Taylor, P.J. Williams. So you felt really good about your secondary. Well, this is not to suggest that Marcus Maye will certainly miss time, but remember, he was already potentially facing a suspension because of his DUI arrest this spring. He had been arrested, charged with DUI, and of course with the NFL's personal conduct policy, there's a likelihood that Marcus Maye is going to miss time because of that anyway from the incident in 2021. That's still going through the court system. Now that has to rectify itself, so we'll see. Similar to what happened last year with the Marshawn Lattimore arrest. So, and of course Lattimore did not end up serving a suspension. It's on one hand very disappointing as well when you have a guy who battled back from injury, where he had the Achilles injury last year. He battles back from that. The Saints see Marcus Williams leave in free agency. They sign Marcus Maye and Tyrann Mathieu after Malcolm Jenkins retired. So you've got these two new starting safeties. You're trying to build continuity, and then this happens. And it's it is fair to say, like, is Marcus Maye a problem? I don't know. I can't tell you that I know Marcus Maye or much about him outside of what we know and what we're told, but the Saints have worked so hard to build this culture that we talk about all the time, and really they had to do it twice. When Sean Payton first got here, they shipped out a lot of veterans who were sort of entitled and weren't buying in. And then after the back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons, they did it again when you saw them ship out guys like Jimmy Graham and Kenny Stills and Junior Gillette. And it was all about bringing in guys and sort of reestablishing that great culture internally. And they've worked so hard to protect that. It's hard to believe that they would go sign a guy like Marcus Maye without doing their due diligence to make sure they knew the type of guy that they were bringing in the locker room. But now you see the DUI arrest. Now you see this arrest, and it's like that's 2 arrests in a calendar year. It's, it's no longer a one-off. It's worth questioning and wondering if this is a bigger problem with Marcus Maye. And I want to reiterate, of course, he is entitled to his day in court. So, we'll see how this may all play out and be rectified. But when you specifically look at that defensive backfield now, because I guess in some respect you have to think about it with the possibility of Marcus Maye not being there if this does lead to any type of discipline from the league. You'd certainly love to have Chauncey Garner-Johnson. I mean, that goes without saying, but that's not an option anymore. And what you do have are a couple of guys that have played a ton of football. This obviously doesn't change what you are on the outside with Marshawn Lattimore and with Paulson Adebo, who by all accounts, by his own words, kind of smugly said that he's day-to-day on Wednesday. It certainly seems like he's going to be ready to go week 1. And then you have Bradley Roby as your nickel, and then you drafted Alontae Taylor, who Dennis Allen talked about today. We'll hear that in just a second. But now when you look back at the safety spots, you do have P.J. Williams, who, when there have been injuries so far in camp, or when Tyron missed time, P.J. Williams dropped back and played safety. And look, P.J.'s played 78 games in his career. He's entering year 7 in the league, all with the Saints. He knows this defense. They know him. There's a comfort level there because they keep bringing him back. They drafted him in the 5th round, and I think we learned quickly he was never going to be an outside cornerback like he was at Florida State, but he's done really well in the slot and at safety. Nickel and dime packages, really, he's been really settled in as the dime back in this defense, but he's started 31 games in his career. So you have a really veteran player that can probably play safety for you in a pinch if you need it. And then Daniel Sorensen, who is is entering year 9. He's played in 111 games. He started 39 times. And remember, he was in Kansas City with Tyron, so those two have played together, and there's some synergies. So if it comes to that, you at least have a couple of options there that are veteran options. That's kind of what you're lacking at linebacker, right? I mean, we know you feel really good about Demario Davis, and provided Pete Werner gets healthy from this groin injury and is ready to go, you feel good about your first 2. The depth is the question. Now at safety, you feel good about the depth you have there, but it's potentially going to be challenged even further. But there is the big question about Alontae Taylor, and everything that happened with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson did kind of point to maybe why they were willing to invest a second-round pick in Alontae Taylor, thinking that they may have a contract issue with Chauncey and they might lose that player. And so they got a guy that they really liked in Alontae Taylor and whom they may need even more quickly than they had anticipated. And Dennis Allen talked about Alontae Taylor when he met with reporters on Thursday.
I liked where he was at prior to the injury. Hadn't seen a lot of him since then. He's moving around really well, the last couple of days. So I'm confident in his ability. But certainly wish we hadn't lost that developmental time.
It speaks to what is a reality in the NFL and in football, is that your depth is tested. It's why depth is so important. When we talk about the Saints team, we like the Saints roster. I think we all agree that we like the Saints' first 5 offensive line. We like Alvin Kamara. Of course, the receivers are good. We like David Onyemata. We like Cam Jordan. The question is your depth. What happens if those guys go down? Who's next? And great depth is a luxury not many teams have in the NFL, but that's why I always obsess over training camp and the preseason, because roster spots 51, 52, 53, I mean that's what this is. I mean that's when you lose a linebacker, who comes out onto the field? When you lose a safety, is J.T. Gray or Justin Evans able to go play Sunday football and not miss a beat? Last year, when you have a guard go down and you have to put Calvin Throckmorton in there, can he perform? You got an answer to the affirmative on that a year ago. That's why those spots matter so much. And depth is already being tested in the secondary. But we'll see what happens here with the Marcus Maye situation. It's concerning. it certainly is concerning because this is 2 incidents in a year now for Marcus Maye, and you hope there's not more. It's concerning because you just shipped out Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, and now another guy in the secondary is facing potentially being away from the field. Hopefully, and I'm not trying to diminish what is alleged to have happened, but we're a sports show and we don't have any more details than what we've shared. Hopefully, it's a misunderstanding. It gets rectified, and he's able to go on with his life. And nobody was hurt, and you get to go. He plays football, and that's it. But it makes you at least consider what possibilities are out there here with this Marcus Maye arrest. So as it develops, we'll certainly keep you posted here. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.